Welcome, everyone, and Dzień dobry to Kids versus Stars episode 2. We have another exciting event coming up for you. But before we talk about the players and what you're going to see for the next 2 hours, I would be remiss but not introduce my co-host, returning champion, WGM Kedi Satsalashvili. Kedi, welcome back.
Hello, Mike. Hello to our chat. I am so excited to be back and to host one of my favorite shows, Kids versus the Adults. It's going to be so epic, Mike.
Right. We had our first edition back in May where the kids dominated. We took June off to do our ChessKid Youth Championships where we saw Yuj or Dagush basically destroy everybody. But today, I really don't know what's going to happen. Let's introduce the players. It's a 2v2 match. And it's what we call a Scheveningen, and I'm sorry to all my Dutch friends. We do have a Dutch player playing today. That basically means you don't play anybody else on your team. You just play the other players. So, Kedi, why don't you introduce our first star, who's probably the most well-known name, even though she's the youngest. Who you got?
Yeah, actually, I hope you are mentioning Anna-Maja because Nemo and Anna-Maja both are 24 years old. And Nemo at this moment is women grandmaster already, and Anna-Maja is on her way to get her norms and achieve her title, Anna-Maja. But her opponent is future grandmaster Bodhana from UK. And Mike, we have a good news for her chess fans and chess enthusiasts. She will be playing for the first time Chess Olympiad in Budapest.
Yeah, she was selected for the English team. She's not the first 9-year-old to play in an Olympiad, although I have to say she's the first 9-year-old of consequence, okay? I've interviewed some players from some very small nations, and no offense to them, but yeah, being selected for the English women's national team is amazing. And as you said, we're going to give her the title, not of GM or FM, but FGM, future grandmaster. She is the youngest ever girl, the highest rated girl ever, age 10 and under, even higher than a woman named Ho Yifan. So really amazing stuff. Glad to have Bodhana. And her teammate will be somebody from Poland, and that would be Antek Radzimski. He's a candidate master. And he actually did really well, Kedi. He got a bronze medal in the World Cadet Championships, and he's actually on holiday. He's joining us from holiday in Italy, taking a little bit of time out to play this match. And Kedi, you already mentioned you know the both of the adult streamers pretty well. Why don't you talk us a little bit more about Nemo and Anna-Maja?
Well, we had Nemo at this event already previously, and I was so excited to see her coming back. We're probably planning to win at this time. Last time, ChessKids won 18-6. We had Nemo and Anna Kramnik. So I'm so excited to have Nemo back. And we also have a new player in the field, Anna-Maja. She's also a FIDE master and chess streamer, and actually quite strong chess player. Her best rating has to be 23. 30 some years ago, so it's gonna be really strong clash.
Yeah, she just played the Dutch Women's Championship, and she's got 20,000 Twitch followers. But we want to ask our Twitch followers and also our YouTube followers who you got in this match. You can type in one simple word: kids or stars. As you pointed out, Kedi, the kids are trying to go 2-0 in our short series. We're going to try to do this match basically every month. The Stars are trying to get their revenge after an 18-6 shellacking. I don't know how that translates into Georgian, but it did not go well. So chat, please let us know who you got. Let's go over the format real quick. Each star is going to play each kid 6 times in 3+1 chess. And after a short break, then they'll switch. And each star will play the other kid. As mentioned, you don't play your own teammate, but your teammate's score combines with yours. So, Kedi, how many points does it take to win our match today?
The team, one of the team needs 12.5 points to score to win the match, and that's going to be it. So, I was just remembering last time it was such a big advantage for kids that the stars were not being closed. But at this time, I think we're going to have a serious preparation from Nemo. She already knows her opponent, Antek. She played already against Antek. And as I know, Mike, Anna-Maja is a last-minute replacement of Jovanka. Maybe she's not that preferred against her opponents, but as a professional chess player, I'm sure she's taking this match very seriously.
Oh, yeah. By the time I met with her yesterday to confirm her participation, she'd already begun researching some of her opponent's ideas. And I said to her, hey, do you want to know the usernames of your opponents? Because we share that information with all the players. And she's like, Mike, I got this. She already knew the usernames. So you're right. She's definitely a professional. And we'll try to get Jovanka to compete in the future. I know some of our early publicity was about that. But Jovanka just finished the Grand Chess Tour event in St. Louis, and she's on a plane. And I said, how's the Wi-Fi on the plane? She's like, Mike, don't be silly. I can't actually play a match crossing the Atlantic Ocean. So we got our...
She might, yeah, she might not play, but I'm sure if she has a chance, she would be watching this match. And yeah, let's wish the best for all the participants, Mike. We have, I think, games already started.
We have liftoff, and who better to start with than the most famous 9-year-old girl in chess of all time, Bodhana Sivanandan, and she has got white in this opening game against Nemo. Nemo is known for dirty flagging, but she's a pretty good chess player. She only does that when she has to. Bodhana doesn't play a lot of blitz, but remember at the European Blitz Championships last year, she got 8.5 out of 13. She won the junior prize and a woman's prize, and the organizer said you only get one, so she had to pick one of them. But here we go. We're off and running.
Yeah, I loved how Bodhana started with London system, and Nemo was doing her opening here with black, just ignoring everything. And I love this bishop giving the check to black's king. And you know what? Black might have some problems on the light squares, as white's knight will then later on jump in the center and create some danger. Mike, it is very important.
Let's look at that, Katie. I love what you just said. If this knight hops to d7, this knight can hop into e5, and now only this knight is keeping this knight safe. Sometimes g4 happens, and it can be really hard for black to hold the position. Sometimes white will bring the other knight in and just take and replace the first knight with the other knight. Now, black has some defensive ideas, but Katie, you've pointed out already some early danger for black, depending on where the knight moves. Let's go back to the game, and the knight did jump to d7, and I don't know how long it took Bodhana to find knight e5, but she played it right away.
Yeah, of course she did that, and now Nemo has to take care of the pin. Maybe she has to kick the bishop away with the pawn a6. Maybe that's the move she has to do, but she has to do it very fast, as she's also behind on the clock more than a minute. It's a big business in a blitz game.
Yeah, maybe Bodhana will dirty flag her, although she's got a decent position. You're right, though. The pin was taken care of right away. Computer didn't like giving away the bishop pair, but I guess Bodhana reasons that her knight is going to be every bit as good as any one of the black bishops when it hops into e5, but e5 is not an outpost. Okay, now you can have the classic good knight versus bad bishop, but is it a bad bishop? I don't know.
I don't like that bishop. I prefer to have this knight, and after all, white does have a beautiful knight which will jump on e5, and later on maybe even f4, f5. The pawn push can be something, but Nemo says like, oh, hold on, stay there. I will not allow you to jump there. And she wants to play herself e5 and start the center play, maybe e4 later on.
Yeah, very clear what black wants to do. I was a little bit suspicious about the queen coming to e2 because you're piling up your heavies on these light squares, and of course black can play a5 and swing the bishop around this way. So I thought the queen belonged on the d2 square. Let's see, will black play for e5 slowly, or will black just play e5 right away? I'm not sure. Nemo, by the way, is streaming while playing. We encourage the stars to do that. The kids do have that one advantage. We don't have the kids streaming. But Nemo has closed up the position with c4. That move is so ugly. I would love to hear why Nemo played it, but I'm going to stick with you, Katie. Why do you think she played c4?
I don't like that move at all. It is just closing the center, closes the position. Another pawn goes on the light square. I don't know what happens after f4, but white goes first, knight to f3, and there is a big hole on e5. The knight will stuck here forever. And the bishop is just, it's so ugly. I don't like this bishop on c6 at all.
Yeah, this reminds me of a reverse Stonewall where the bishop's going to come around the world and hope to get to h5. Of course, the queen's covering that square, but we see this idea.
To trade the bishop. But
Yeah.
there's no bishop. She's doing that, but there's no bishop to trade. So that's why it is just awkward. But you know, like sometimes you just think that you are worse and you are looking for some kind of like Stonewall or something to hold a position. Maybe Nemo was thinking she was worse in that position already.
Yeah, it could very well be. She's got the gamer's chair, so she's very much used to this. Bodhana, again, doesn't play a lot of online blitz. So we'll see how Bodhana handles herself. But right now, she's comporting herself beautifully with a 1.5-minute time advantage. We should say that the Twitch chat seemed to favor the kids even before the first move was made. We're going to be monitoring you, chat, to see if things change. But I would love to redo my ChessKid lesson on good knight versus bad bishop, because I would basically use this position. That knight is a complete octopus and will never be moved off of e5.
Never, ever. It's just a perfect knight there. Oh, b3s. It's just a closing everything. Nemo wants to play rook to a2 somewhere to stack that rook there, and white starts the king side attack. I love that plan. I love g4.
I love your idea. Rook to a2. Now, the big shots in chess call that a co-linear move, but on ChessKid, I hated that word so much. We call it the nutmeg, when you've got two pieces on tension and one piece travels but only stops halfway. I stole it from football, where nutmeg is when you kick the ball between someone's legs. Okay, so the rooks are dominating for black, but h5, the thing is, when h5 happens and the bishop runs away, black can always close up shop on the king side because black is crushing the queen side. But this bishop is not a real chess piece. I have no idea what's going on here.
Yeah, it's a funny position, a bit closed. Bad bishop versus king knight, but there is still a need to open up the position for white. It's not so easy. Black is doing a good job on the a file, keeping the eye on b2 pawn as well, and that bishop actually keeps the king safe on the kick side.
You're right. Now we've got Alekhine's gun that black has formed. Black is hoping to push through. One thing for black is if black can trade everything and get the queen to a2, then the queen will dominate, but white will just park the queen on c1, and without this bishop playing chess, it'll be a very easy fortress. Queen c1. Oh, played. I don't like that because the queen gets the first rank. Why should I put the queen on c1? Oh, now the queen invades, and now the queen can cause mayhem.
Pawn on h5 is hanging, actually.
Yeah.
She can go for that.
Yeah, this was just very strange by Bodhana with a huge time advantage. The queen could have just gone to c1 unless I was missing something. Okay, now the good news is it's probably still a very easy draw, because how is that pawn ever after the knight goes back? Yeah. And now you just toggle your knight forever.
Yeah, I still like white's position here with this knight. There's no chance to lose this position with white. No chance. There's a chance to lose with black, but no. Okay, first draw. That was a crazy game. That was a good start.
That was a good start. And in the other game, Anna-Maja Kazarian of the Netherlands has won her game against Antek Radzimski. So already the stars are doing better than last time. They have their first lead in our short series. And we're going to go take a look at that other game right now. We're going to switch back and forth all day. Anna-Maja gets the white pieces. She's up 1-0. And Antek, I'm sorry, your vacation is officially on pause in Italy. You have yourself a match on your hands. They've got 5 more games against each other before they switch opponents.
Yeah, I'm looking at the ratings on Chess.com, the Blitz ratings. Antek has about 100 points more than Anna-Maja. So he's probably the player who plays a lot. Although I did a little bit of research, and he's not playing recently for about a month, the Blitz games. So maybe he needs to warm up a little bit, Antek. So
well, you know, as Americans, we just love that Europeans take holiday pretty much all summer. I know I'm overgeneralizing, but maybe he's taking a little bit of a holiday for a long time in Italy. So yeah, but he's been doing great. He's slipped a little bit off of his peak classical rating, but he is a CM. He's gotten up to the mid 2200s, and the future is very bright. Okay, it looks like a closed Sicilian if I'm reading the tea leaves right. And white is trying to decide when to break in the center. Black looks pretty clear that black's going to play b takes c3, though. I think black absolutely wants that b file open, if I had to guess.
Mhm. Yeah, as I know, and also a lot of people on Twitch and YouTube knows, Anna-Maja is trying different openings, and she's learning openings online together with the chat, and she's trying many different stuff.
Yeah, that's a good use of online chess, of course, practicing. She didn't quite win that Dutch championship, but she is definitely one of their star players. Okay, bishop back to d7. And are they just going to repeat moves? No, I doubt it. By the way, we should mention, we didn't mention this at the top of the show, no draw offers are allowed. Of course, I have no idea why they'd want to disagree to withdraw in an exhibition match. Okay, so b takes c3, computer gives the exclam. And now black could loosen up the center even more. If I'm black, I'm seriously thinking about trading again, because after pawn takes, both of these pawns are getting pressured a ton, but you do have to take care of your knight. Your knight would acquire the b4 square, though. I think we're going to see cd, knight b4. Yep, it happened. And now white's got to be careful, because if the bishops trade, then the knight has access to the d3 square. I think that the white center is a little bit more of a weakness than a strength right now.
I'm back, Mike. I think my internet also needs some origination. I hope so. But I guess I haven't missed too much in this position. The thing that I wanted to suggest here for Anna-Maja is something like knight g5. I don't know if you mentioned about that. What do you think about that move to hit the pawn on f7?
I love it, but I was going to say black gets to move first, and black wants to play d5, a very common theme when your opponent has what we call in ChessKid land, we call it the snowplow. This move, for anybody that plays the Italian as black, you know about this move, d5, to break up the center. If you pause for one moment, either the snowplow is going to come forward, most likely with this pawn move, or a move like knight to g5. Now, she played c5. That even weakens the d5 square. I was a much bigger fan of playing d5 because you trade that dude for that dude, and then that leaves white with only an isolani remaining. This move invites your idea, knight to g5. The thing is, I think d5 will still happen. If I play knight g5, I think d5 is still going to happen to break up the attack. And this is becoming a complete mess. But again, I think the white's pawn center is collapsing a little bit. Let's see. Will white play?
Yeah, maybe 5 here to open up the center, hit the knight on f6.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think we've lost
Is an idea. And oh no.
You're back. Tell us what you see.
I see. Okay, I hope it's fine.
Yeah, but you were right. E5, I think, was the strongest move, and it shows why black should have played D5 when he could have. Okay, but anyway, the game is still, everything is in the balance here. The center has been collapsed a little bit. And now we are on white's move. White is down a pawn, and also this pawn is tender. D5 could still happen. So Anna-Maja is struggling here in game 2. Antek looking to even the score for his team. Right now, the kids have a 1.5 to 1/2 deficit against the grown-ups, right? The 24-year-old grown-ups.
Yeah, the grown-ups, the stars. I think here there are some chances still for Anna-Maja.
I don't get the fork right here.
Oh no!
Yeah, just a simple fork.
Knight
Sorry to interrupt there, but I couldn't help myself. Knight c2, simple chess.
Oh yeah. I see Anna-Maja laughing actually. I like her attitude. She's very often just laughing at the blunders.
She's got the gamer's chair too. She's got the pink gamer's chair. I've actually never seen that before, but good for her. Maybe it's just a regular office chair. I can't tell. But right now she's struggling, and she's doing what you're supposed to do. Why just trade into a losing endgame when you're down in exchange? She's going nuts on the black king, and she played knight f5. The knight wants to get to f7. Now, can she blow open with e5? The good news is black is up an entire rook. So if black needs to sack to survive, black can't. Although I think in this position, you just move your knight. I think allowing rook takes could be a problem. Yeah, exactly. He just moved his knight very calm, and I love it. Okay, that did cost him the knight back, but now it's even easier to win. Now, here's the thing. If he trades, f7 becomes undefensible. There'll be 2 different knights aiming at f7. So he has to get a little bit of a pause here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play pawn takes pawn, actually. He does trade. Okay, interesting. So the knight takes f7 right away. That's one way to get the queen back. But now the knights are all jammed up. There's a fork on d6. But I think, Keddy, if you play h6, knight takes d6, you're going to win both knights for one of your rooks. And that should be a pretty easy conversion. Black is running low on pawns. Okay, so instead, he just allows the fork without winning the knight. He wanted the center pawns more than the knight. Very interesting.
Yeah, he keeps the pawn on the third rank, and now probably knight to c3. Another pawn runs. He has two pass pawns. The pawn will go all the way to a2, and it's going to be very tough to stop it. So we have a resignation.
Yeah, she resigned. Even if the rook could go back, the knight is on that square. Of course, the knight has this knight b1 idea. But you know what? His conversion was pretty convincing. I can't argue with it. He evens the score 1-1. And if I'm looking at the other game, it's actually still in the balance. This pawn is running down the board. Nemo has made a queen. Oh my goodness. We have a queen endgame, right? We switched over. Black has an extra bishop. White has an advanced pawn. I have no idea what's happening.
It's a mess. It's a mess for sure. Black has extra bishop and also 20 seconds more on the clock.
Yeah,
But
and by
white
the
is
way,
on time to give checks.
I was going to say, if white simply guarded the pawn, black would have taken anyway and reduced it to a king and two pawns versus king and one pawn ending. So now all white can do was try to give some checks, but now it's a very, very easy win for Bodhana. And the kids wrest the lead away from the stars. They go 2-0 in that round, and they have now taken a 2.5 to 1/2 lead, picking up where they left off back in May when Keddy and I saw them dominate against the stars.
Exactly. This round was really successful for the starts. Round 3 will start very soon. We're going to have 6 games of these matchups, and then the players will switch the opponents. Another game of London of Bodhana and Nemo was a big no-no to keep the king in the center and allow white to give a check. So this is an upgraded version by Nemo.
Yeah, good analysis there, Kitty. That check, we were showing all kinds of problems, and so she ducks out of the way. She's also playing a lot more quickly, not spotting her 9-year-old opponent a 1-minute advantage on the clock. Chat, what do you think now that you've seen about 20 minutes of play? Have you changed your mind about who you think is going to win this match? 2.5 to 1.5, early lead for the kids here in Kids versus Stars episode 2.
Yeah, that's the question indeed. We're gonna keep the eye on the answers. But so far we had really mixed things. First round for the stars, second rounds for the kids. Let's see how this round will go. So far it looks quite even. I like this rook to d5, just cementing the rook there, and now getting back on d8. It seems like she wanted this c4 to be played in the center for creating a weakness, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. C4 wins the tempo. That's the temporary advantage, but the permanent weakness of a couple of dark squares, not the biggest deal just yet, since this pawn is keeping an eye on d4, but it could become an issue later in the game. Also, something that could become an issue, we tried to have this match as early as we could, but it is currently 7:20 p.m. for Bodhana, 8:20 p.m. for Antek. So anyway, we're obviously, we're not trying to handicap the game by making the kids stay up late, but I mean, I'm going to be tired at the end of this. So, of course, I've had a long work day. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, that's going to be much easier for kids to play in the morning, as it's like super easy to play with a fresh mind. But so far, they're doing so good. I think they don't mind to play a bit late. In this position, I like the idea of Nemo to trade the knights off the board, and now we can. It is visible that d3 is weakness, and that's why Bodhana started to get the bishop on d4 to stop rooks controlling d-file.
Yeah, that's good analysis. I think that black wants to invade on d3. If black does nothing, if we could imagine every single piece leaving the board here except the pawns, of course, white's better. White's got 3 against 2 on the queen side, and black's extra pawn can't really make a pass pawn on the king side. Now, I know we're a long way away from that, but every incremental step white can make to trading off some pieces is better. The white pawn was threatening to come to c6. Queens don't usually make good blockaders, but you've got to use what you've got, right? The queen stops on c6. That's a light square, hard for white to break through. I think white's going to put a rook on the b file and then try to come down the board There's
E5, Mike. There was an E5 and the blunder of the piece. E5 winning the piece because the rook on D1 is hanging.
right, bishop moves. Thank you for spotting that. Rook takes. I was looking at elaborate sacrifices on C5 to take advantage of the pin, but the simple move, keep it simple, silly. Pawn to E5 would have won the rook, but Nemo responded very quickly and did not find it, probably not expecting her opponent to hang a piece.
Yeah.
And the queen comes back to E2. She rushes back to guard the rook and prevent E5 from winning a piece, but E5 is still playable. And I think the C5 pawn is going down now.
Yeah, she has to play that. She's taking some time, calculating all the possibilities. And she goes with F4. Why is that?
You know what?
Okay.
You know what? I just realized E5, bishop takes E5 is legal because this rook is pinned to the counterpart. Now, maybe black will get the pawn back in some way,
Yeah.
but black is just gifting a pawn. So that was my mistake. And
Yeah.
luckily, Nemo did not play my move. F4 instead.
Okay. Then I like F4 more.
Yeah.
I changed my mind. Queen to G4. Now the play will be switched on the king side as rook already gets on F file.
Surprised the rook stopped here. I thought it was going to go all the way to G5 and that this diagonal was going to become a problem. So now we've got pieces flying to different parts of the board we were not expecting. Keep an eye on this bishop. It can't move, otherwise checkmate on G7.
Yeah, you can take the pawn on C5. It's not worthy at all. Maybe now you can take the rook on D1 and take the pawn on C5 and hold on a draw.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, she's going.
In fact, yeah, there was almost a tricky H5 move. The queen was almost out of squares, but she did have the E2 square. Okay, now the pawn is hanging. Wait, G4? Okay, G4, I guess there was something. I don't know what there was, but there was something. Now we have a rook endgame where it's probably equal. Who's playing for a win, actually? Black has the passer, but white's got 4 on 2.
Yeah, I think it's going to be just equal. Not so tough to make a draw here for black.
Plenty of time for both sides, but Katie, let me put you on the spot. If you had, remember, no draw offers are allowed, right? So if you had to play a color here, who would you pick?
I think I would go with black still because I like the pawn there. No, I don't know. I don't go with black actually.
Well, the last few moves,
I don't go for black.
As I was saying my sentence, the last few moves changed things a little bit. By advancing these pawns, they might just be putting themselves in an awkward spot. Now, white is locking everything up, but maybe white should have chosen. I think white often had time to try to capture some pawns, rush back, maybe sack for the A pawn, have rook versus 4, but okay, we're past that point. Now the pawns are so locked up. Now it's going to be hard to make improvement for white.
Exactly. So I had a feeling that Bodhana felt a bit of danger of the passed pawn and the active king. That's why she decided to put this pawn structure like that. And now she's going for the pawn. Yeah, this is going to be a draw, very likely.
Both games are still in progress in this round. White would love a situation where the king ran to support this pawn because white would take both pawns and sack for the remaining A pawn if she had to, and then pushed all 4 of her pawns. So black is not taking the bait. Black is perfectly happy here, just holding the balance, not trying to promote the A pawn. By the way,
yeah,
some people
that's
in the
right.
chat,
So they,
I was just going to say, some people in the chat might be wondering why Nemo doesn't push the pawn down the board, because it actually restricts her own rook the more that pawn comes down the board.
yeah, rook will be restricted indeed, and I think she just plays here for a draw, and she's not really. She knows that it's not winning.
You know
for
what?
her,
F5.
so.
What about F5 in that position? F5 takes, and then you have time to win the H pawn, and then your H pawn would be passed. This is an interesting breakthrough that I think white has had a chance to play a couple of times, but not played.
Oh, they are going to repeat the position for 3 times, I guess.
F5.
Okay, now F5. Come on. No, they're repeating the position. That's a draw.
Yeah, okay. Finally, the computer understands. Well, the computer doesn't make mistakes in this sense, but they've gotten the position 3 times. It is a draw. Let's see if the other game is still going on. Let me scroll down. It is. And it looks like Antek has a big advantage with the passed B pawn over Anna-Maja. He's going for 2 wins in a row. All he has to do is figure out how to get the pawn to the other side, but his rook can't move right now. Otherwise, the pawn is lost. He does move the, oh, he hits the knight. Oh my goodness. Now, I'm not even sure this is a win with best play. However, We're going to
No,
see.
because knight is pinned, Mike, here, so you can't really move the knight.
Yeah.
And those two pawns are actually dangerous.
Yep. Rook and knight versus rook would be the scenario if white wins the pawns. And I think we are contractually obligated as announcers to say that Kasparov once beat Judith in rook and knight versus rook. Although I feel even bad saying that because Judith is such an awesome player, but we always seem to say it in that particular endgame. White hasn't even won the pawns yet, though. If you're white, you got to be a little careful playing for the win. The pawns are getting scary. I actually don't even know who's got better winning chances in this endgame.
Exactly. Okay, the one pawn is gone. Now rook is actually just stalemating the white's king, and black has to just move with the king.
Yeah, eventually the knight will move and the h2 pawn will fall. Okay, guards the knight first, of course. And now the pawn is captured, and here we go. Secrets of Pawnless Endings by John Nunn. I've got it on my bookshelf somewhere, but we're going to leave it there, Dr. John Nunn. No, the rooks are traded. Oh, no, the rook hung because of a pre-move. Now, it's still a draw. It's still not that hard to draw, but amazingly, Anna-Maja is playing for a win. Wow, and she hangs her rook. Okay, well.
Double rook blunder. I love it, this game. I love it. You know what? If we had a draw, it's a good way to make a draw for us.
It shows the fighting chess, right? Also, they can't offer a draw, but if you've got king and rook and you flag against king and knight, you do lose because you can set up a checkmate with king and rook versus king and knight. Even though it's incredibly unlikely, it is legal. Okay, so we go back to Anna-Maja versus Antek. The real-time score, 3.5 to 2.5. Both of those games ended in draws and almost king versus
dramatic
king.
Draws. And we were just talking, and we were asking Chad, who's your favorite? Who do you think gonna win this match? And we saw here draw. So this match is very even, Mike. So even that I don't know what to predict at this point. I don't have my favorite team yet. What about you?
I still don't know. And I know you're friends with Anna-Maja. I know she speaks Georgian, but I know you've got some, love for Poland. So I know that you're on the fence. I want to ask the chat something I've never asked you before. I asked my stats team before the show, hey, give me some high-level stats on Bodhana. And they're like, they sent me like a 27-page dossier on every record she's broken. So chat, I want you to research your favorite stat on Bodhana. And type it in the chat. We ask you to be a little, factually accurate. So I'm going to give you mine. Bodhana is number 58 on the girls' junior list, top 100. She's 58. She was born in 2015. No other girl was born in 2011 or after. So she's 4 years ahead of any other girl on the FIDE top 100 list. I thought that was kind of a cool stat.
Wow, that's actually a really, really cool stuff. I'll go next, okay, before our chat, because we speak first. And another very interesting fact that I found among the women participants, Anna-Maja had the highest title, highest rating 2320 in 2016, and Nemo also had the highest title the same year, 2016, when Bodhana was only 1 year old. Can you imagine? And they were already strong players, winning the world youth categories when Bodhana was only 1 year old and had no idea about chess.
That is amazing. Wow. The kids these days. That's a cool one. Okay, Chad, I'll be looking for you. Now, Black did a good job here of getting rid of those killer bees because they were both aiming at the king. And as Wu-Tang reminded us, killer bees, we on a swarm. I don't think I can sing the rest of that song because that's probably the only safe lyric. But here, the black pawns are in serious trouble. One of them has just fallen, and I can see this pawn coming up to e5 with the pin. So the queen runs out of the pin and hits this bishop instead. And now I'm thinking that white's going to put something on the second rank. I'm going to say queen e2 is what I would do in this position, maybe.
I would be worried of the back rank. Maybe it's good to put this bishop safer place on d5, perhaps.
Oh, I hung mate. I didn't see that this rook wasn't blocked. Okay, I hung mate. Chat, I'm sure you saw that. Queen should go to like a1 or b2 or move the bishop. Yeah, I like your idea better.
Yeah. Oh, Anyway, she's taking some time here, struggling to find the proper square for this bishop, and she goes in the end to d5. I like this bishop to be here, keeping the eye on f7 pawn and offering the trade. Trade is good here for white because there is an extra pawn on a file.
That was a really strange decision to take with the pawn. I guess she was worried about her first rank, and she should be, right? I just hung mate. But you
Yeah.
generally want to keep this d pawn a backward pawn like it was. So I understand the need to guard the back rank, but I don't think there was any kind of tactic there for black.
Interesting. How about take and take the pawn on d6? That's a good question. Is there any tactic? We're gonna learn very soon if Anna-Maja takes that pawn. She goes h3. I like that approach too, to play safe, to make sure there's no checkmate, but still there are some threats on the back rank.
I think we have time to look at it, and I do think it was a little bit unsafe. So let's see. If you take, then something very simple like queen c3. Oh, queen b4,
queen b4
is the money move.
Yeah.
The rook's in danger. Rook e1 is the problem, and I don't think you can stop everything. So that was probably the immediate refutation. We'll go back to the live position, and white has solved her back rank problems, but black has not solved the problem of being down a pawn.
And also black had back rank issue too, and f6 has been played. That's not the best move to play when you want to make sure that your king is safe on the back rank. But I'm sure black had the reason for that, maybe to play something like rook to e5 at some point. Yeah,
that's a
I'm
good
not a
theory,
big fan
Katie.
of this move.
I'm not either. And, Antek's a strong player. He knows that moving the F pawn is not the normal way. So that's a good theory there. The rook probably wanted to be on E5, but you weaken your 7th rank, you weaken the diagonal to your king. Just a really strange decision to put the pawn on F. The queen slides over. And now if you're black, do you take your chances in the pure rook endgame? Probably not. Black can play queen check, king h2, and queen here. But then I think you just play rook takes pawn. And
Yeah.
I don't know. The queens trade and then the rook moves over. That does pick off the a pawn, but I don't know. It feels wrong somehow.
Yeah, instead the check has been given and queen to b1. Rook h1 is a checkmate in one move, but it's white to move and white can start to give the checks. And here we have check, another check, perhaps on a7, and now should be the final blow, although rook to h1 is a serious threat right now.
Yeah, this is the only place for the king to move where the queen could invade with check. But I guess, Kitty, the computer is saying you can play queen takes g7 and the king can walk safely. That's kind of my interpretation of the eval bar in this position.
I would also take the pawn on d6 to keep the queen on that diagonal too. And I believe that king on g3 is just safe.
Yeah, it's actually very possible that both moves are winning. You did convince me that the queen is safer on this square because you guard the king from this one direction. But our trusty computer says it doesn't matter if you play the second best move and take on g7, because if the queen checks here, or if she checks here, after f3, that's it. The queen's on the wrong color. Now she can trade. That's one option she would have had if the queen was on d6. So maybe the g file was more important than the diagonal. It's very possible. And now black can trade into a losing rook and pawn endgame, or black can get mated. Those seem to be the two options.
Yep, no more checks. If you give a check, queen g6, that's going to be the rook endgame, which is winning for white. So
okay,
yeah, the game is just over.
Resignation. And is the other game still going on? I have to do a very long scroll. It does look like Bodhana won, so that means it's a net equal for the kids versus stars. The kids should still be retaining their 1-point lead. I'm going to verify with my team. In fact, that's right. It was a split round, 1 win each. The kids are up 4.5 to 3.5. There are 2 games left before we take a break and switch partners. And do we have a change in opening? Not really. Seems to be the same. Well, it's actually not the London, so that's a little bit of a change.
Yeah, Mike, I asked Anna Kramnik why she didn't play co-opening, because we know that's her opening and she loves to play that. I recently met her at 2 different tournaments in Norway and later in New York. And I was like, Anna, why didn't you play co-opening? We were waiting for that. And she said that she likes when others are playing co-opening, not when she plays co. So I don't think the players like to change the openings when they play the blitz because they have some preparation and they like to do a little bit of updates from the previous game. So I don't really expect to have too much of the changes in this match. Maybe Anna-Maja will switch somewhere.
Yeah, I can tell you that I'm the same way when it comes to the Botez Gambit. I like my opponents to play the Botez Gambit and not me. That's just me. By the way, great analysis from Bowties live in the chat. You did spot that the queen on the G7 in the previous game was better because it guards G6. So thanks for that good analysis. All right, so completely different position. There's good pressure on the C4 pawn, but this rook is eyeballing the queen, just pointing out a lot of potential energy before it becomes kinetic energy. The bishop drops back. The computer doesn't like it, but I think black wants to play D4 and open up the diagonal. But first, the bishop's in danger, and I suspect the bishop will drop back. I can't imagine you would actually take the knight and help the rook line up with the queen.
Yeah, I don't do that. Now perhaps knight to a4 to hit the pawn on c5 will make a lot of sense. Or you can even take the pawn on d5 and play against the hanging pawns. All white's pieces are just direct into the weaknesses. Instead, white goes to knight to b1. In this way, she wants to trade the bishops. I really like knight to a4, though.
Yeah, on one level, a lot of maturity from Bodhana. Backward knight moves, we always say, are the hardest in chess, but on the other level, it's not the best place for the knight. The knight was more useful, as you said, on the a4 square, because it would have started to target these hanging pawns. Karpov was a master at playing both with and against the hanging pawns. And the general rule of thumb, if you can make one pawn move, you weaken the pair because then they become a lot more immobile. But as long as they stay side by side, you have to worry about them forever because they can come forward and fork your pieces and force them to bad squares and already pawn up. And this bishop is running out of squares. Although I think black is definitely going to have to build up for it. And now d4 I can see being a real threat.
Yeah, d4, let's go. Let's open up the position, open up the light square bishop as well. We have dark square bishop direct into h2 pawn, and that's the blunder, Mike. Here we have some serious moves, which I missed, actually. I have not seen it so fast.
You know, they would have about that. We actually have some time here, a little bit of time. We can go back before we catch back up to the live position. I'm a little bit mystified by the traded pieces because you want to be able to target those pieces. And apparently c4.
c4 and then d4.
And then d4. Okay, the bishop has to go
then
back
d4.
somewhere. And then
you have a pin on e-file.
Wow. Wow. This is like a hallmark game for the hanging pawns and not immobilizing them. Let's go back to the live position. That was a little bit hard to see. Very counterintuitive to play c4 and then d4 because you weaken the d4 square, but because of all the pins, they all work out.
Yeah, not easy to spot in a second. So what black just did was just a fine decision. Also, the time is quite even in this game. As I know, in the hanging pawn, the trade of the pieces is better for the player who plays against the hanging pawn. Then you can easily attack. But that's a theory, actually, and it's not a big deal, as the engine bar also says that it's even position.
And sometimes it's nice to our audience to just define the term because this does not come up in too many chess games, but hanging is one of these weird English words because in most cases, when your knight is hanging, it's going to get captured. But in chess, hanging pawns are two pawns that are side by side, but there are no pawns on either of the adjacent files. Just a really special technical term.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting term. In my language, it's also hanging pawn. Just translated it in my head. This game is getting a little bit low because there is not visible plan here to choose from none of the side. White is now thinking and played a move, which we have not seen it yet.
I'm sitting here and my board did not auto update. Thank you, Ketty. Okay, we have some moves coming in. They're not coming in at the speed I'm delivering them, but that's user error. Now we're in the live position. D4 on the board. Both players have about 35, 40 seconds remaining. D4 came about 5 moves too late, but finally we see it taking advantage of this queen being on the same line as the black rook.
Yeah, and now knight goes on e5 to blockade the position. We have trade of the pieces. Probably the knights will be off the board as well. And I love the pawn on d4. That looks really, really pretty pawn. for black, and somewhere white has to push b4 to break the chain, but not this at the moment, obviously.
Notice how Nemo put her pawns on dark squares, knowing that she had a light squared bishop, so she could prevent a permanent blockade of those pawns. Okay, now the pawn could come to d3, but then it would get separated from this c pawn. So you got to time this move right. Of course, d3 right now, you're just going to lose the pawn, but the timing of when to push the pawns is very important. The blockade holds for the moment, but black has more potential in this position than white. Both players ticking down to less than 20 seconds. As Chris Berman would say, tick, 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 tick. That's for anybody in the audience who's older than 40 years old and used to watch NFL on ESPN. But back to chess. The pawns are still blocked, but now the pawn is lost. Surprised the computer doesn't like white more, but this rook's going to come up to the 7th rank. So will capturing that pawn cost Nemo the initiative?
Thought there was a blunder, but it was so well calculated move to give up the pawn on e4 and instead to activate the rook on the 7th rank. And obviously f7 pawn is much stronger.
Yeah,
Bishop
I'm not
to
sure what happened there. It looked like
d5.
Nemo timed out, but she didn't. And yeah, you're exactly right. That was a great way to sack a pawn for active play. Active play always easier. And there's some sort of glitching. I don't know if it's Bodhana or if it's me. Bodhana's camera seems to have maybe frozen. Okay, we're back to the position. I'm not sure what the viewer is seeing at home, but the rook
6
does come up to
seconds.
e7.
3. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
oh.
Yeah, then the moves just came in super fast.
Yes. We all need vacation, Mike. We all need vacation, summer vacation. There was a question in the chat. I will just very quickly answer to your question. There was a about the age. So we have here Bodhana from UK. She's only 9 years old, and we have Antek. He's from Poland, and he is only 12 years old. So those are the team kids. And in the team stars, we do have Nemo and Anna-Maja, both 24 years old. So there's some age gap between our team matches.
Right, half the age and less than half the age. Well, despite the age difference, Antek Radzimski, yes, I know it says Antoni, but everybody calls him Antek, including on his social media accounts. He won his game against Anna-Maja, and so that means with 1.5 to 1/2 round, the kids have opened up their lead. They're up 6-4 over the stars. This is the final game before they switch opponents, and we are back to a classical closed Spanish, although don't think that I usually see this rook coming up to the a6 square, and the computer doesn't seem to like this idea too much.
Yeah, that's too fancy. I don't know where the rook goes, really, maybe on b6 square. And now g5 happened. That's the way how Antek wants to guard the pawn on h6 to look more scary. But I think white can find a way to hit this pawn. Maybe h4 right now. Maybe we can get another knight around and jump on e3, like h2, f1, e3, and then f5. The pawns like this, moves like this, are weakening the squares, and now f5, h5 squares are pretty weak.
Yeah, that is super juicy. You just almost never see this in the closed Spanish. The pawn almost always hangs out on g6 to prevent this knight from being able to do that much. And yeah, very strange weakening here by Antek. But I'm sure he studies more chess than I do. I'm sure he knows more. By the way, he's got that wristband on. I wonder if he's going to the clubs after this. So Antek, you do did you pay the cover charge? You gonna go see a band tonight? I'm just kidding, of course. He's focusing on his chess.
I guess so. I think if okay, Anna-Maja actually goes with h4, but I wanted to ask if Anna-Maja wanted to play bishop to g5 to sacrifice the bishop for 2 pawns. Queen can get into the game together with the bishop, light square bishop, and the knights on the board. That's interesting, but the engine says like, okay, slow down, slow down. That's not much there. But you know, for the blitz, I think you can always try to risk such sacrifices with knight h5, knight f5 ideas.
Yeah, exactly. If you could get your knight there. Now, the standard antidote when someone sacrifices like this is to move this knight back to h7. I'm not sure if it's the right move here, but you get your knight in a nice defensive spot. You offer a trade of queens, and you give your queen access to the king side to defend your king. So I'm not sure if that's the best move. think it probably is, and that probably diffuses the bomb, but you were exactly right. It was worth looking at. Now I'm going to see if I can go to the live position without making a mistake this time. And here we are after knight h5. And okay, we did not miss a piece stack, so we'll just stay in the live position here. But this king side is getting destroyed for black, and that's what we were afraid of. Looks like Anna-Maja in full control here and looking.
Pretending a checkmate in one. Queen to g7 is coming.
Not only that, f7 is hanging in case you play the move rook to g8. Now bishop takes f7.
Knight g5
too much material. Knight g5 is a stronger move. Yeah, you don't want to give away too much material. Rook g6
I like
not
that.
possible because the queen takes mate.
Wait, what? Queen g7? Queen g7 checkmate?
Yeah,
that's a checkmate in one.
Okay, no. Okay. So Anna-Maja wins, and she actually wins the mini series 3.5 to 2.5 over Antek Radzimski. Okay. Let's quickly jump to the other game. If the stars are able to win this one, then we will go into the break with a tied score of 6-6. I do want to point out,
wow, that's great.
The stars almost already have their point total from last time when they lost 18-6. So I'm not trying to give too many bad memories to all the older people.
Yeah, we don't talk about that anymore. Yeah. I love how even is the match. I think we just found the best teammates and the best pairs. This one seems to me like drawish, although black pieces are more active here. There's not enough.
I'd prefer black, but yeah, white should be able to hold because there's no major invasions. But there's so many ways for the pawns to come forward and create some openings that we can't just say it's a fortress by any means. There's a lot of chess left in this one.
Exactly. A lot of things still to happen. And when the time drops down to seconds, anything is possible. Although we have some move like b4, closing the queen side, potentially to play later on a5, a4, but I don't like when the pawns are the same color as the bishop. That limits the dark square bishop so much.
Yeah, Bodhana is basically saying, hey, Nemo, you put every single one of your pawns on the same color as your bishop before, so I can put a few pawns.
Do that.
It should be noted that no matter what happens in this game, even if Bodhana blunders somehow, she will win the mini match over Nemo because she's already won 3.5 out of the 5 games. But if Nemo can win this game, we will go into the break with a 6-6 tie. So here we go, buckle up. Nemo is about to get dirty flagged. She's down 47 seconds to less than 15, and she's got tremendous pressure on her f-pawn. Now the pawns are not symmetrical. Now passed pawns are going to be created for both sides.
Yeah, the further the pass pawn is better for the player, but now the engine says it's much better for black because black can activate the king. King to f5, king to g4 will just dominate the king side and will create a threat, serious threats of move like f3 somewhere there.
Exactly. The knights were basically stumbling into each other. There was even some lines where the pawn was going to come forward and fork the knights. But the king is one move away from invading, and when he does, everything is on the line here.
Yeah, knight e4 check, knight c3, getting the pawn on a2 can be enough. There, yeah, and she's going for that.
Wow, I didn't even see that side of the board. I was only looking at the h-pawn. Totally winning here for Bodhana, and more time on the clock as well. Computer not thrilled. Now, are we going to see a bishop and knight mate? I know we're super far away from that, but if white could just corral one of the pawns, white could sack both knights for both remaining pawns. We would have quite a show on our hands. We would see the world's best girl under the age of 10 do the bishop and knight mate. All right, doesn't look like it's going to happen.
I want to see that. I want to see that.
Ooh, the blockade is almost in store here, though. Oh, this is the tragedy. You don't want to trade knights in this position because of this exact situation. A possible blockade on the board. Oh, and
here we have a draw.
He steals a draw, and I'm not going to say that keeps the stars in it, but it certainly helps their chances a lot because with a 1.5 out of 2 round, the stars pull a little bit closer, and they are only down 1 point going into the break. 6.5 to 5.5. Keddy, what are your thoughts on the first half action so far?
I love what I see. It is so even match. We were even thinking and predicting it's going to be just like 50-50 in the first round, but Now we have 1 point only advantage for the kids. That's fine. I think stars have a good chance to come back in this second part. And now we're going to have to blend everything and switch the opponents. That's going to be so challenging for both teams.
Yeah, Bodhana's got that ChessKid shirt. I don't know about her, but I'm sweating a little. I might need to change shirts during the break. So this is already shaping up to be the more exciting of the two matches we've had so far. Going to be really interesting to see if the energy level can be kept up by the kids as the sun starts to set in Europe. But anyway, before our break and before we switch opponents and we have Nemo play Antek and Bodhana play against Anna-Maja, I want to let everybody know that if you tune in tomorrow, July 17th, you'll see the third event in this year's Champions Chess Tour, the Crunch Labs Masters. Who will join Magnus Carlsen, Alireza Firouzja, and MVL in the fight for the crown and a ticket to the Champions Chess Tour Finals? The action begins tomorrow right here on the Chess.com streams. So use the command !CCT in chat or go visit go.chess.com/Crunch Labs Masters. I love the Crunch Labs videos on YouTube, but that's a different story. We're going to go to break. When we come back, the exciting conclusion of Kids versus Stars, episode 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly.
I've been a member since 1986, nearly 40 years. It's just a beautiful building, very nice staff, lovely place. My name is Peter Lee. I am 79, 80 later this year. I won the British Chess Championship when I was 21. I played in the England team for about 10 years.
My name's Bodhana and I'm aged 8. My rating's around 1800 and I won the World Under-8 Girls Rapid and Blitz Championships.
Ladies are allowed in now, but they used not to be here until 20 years ago. Would you like to see a bit of the club, Bodhana? In theory, no one under 14 should go in the club. So I've always been into problem solving, everything I do. I play bridge as well, I do crosswords, I do number games, I'm a medical statistician. I call myself a problem solver.
I started liking the pieces and I wanted to take them and keep them, so then my dad said I could play chess instead.
When I gave up when I was about 31, 2, I was 2,390. And I've only played one graded game since then. What did you say your rating was? 1900?
1800.
18. Even if you're not ahead of me yet, you'll be ahead of me in 2 or 3 years' time. Sure. Well, she played a lot of very sensible moves. Did you think you were winning at one stage?
Maybe slightly better.
Maybe slightly better, yeah, you probably were.
ChessKid is fun. Chess is great for the brain, but it's also fun to play. And ChessKid makes it easy to have fun. Whether your child is a total beginner or a prodigy, they can hop on and find a well-matched opponent from around the world at any time. ChessKid is the safe, parent-approved way for your child to play chess online. ChessKid is educational. To kids, it feels just like playing, but chess is a great way to learn patience, strategy, and critical thinking. ChessKid features a comprehensive training program that guides kids to level up on their way to mastery. There are more than 50,000 chess puzzles and a whole library of entertaining videos that teach strategies, tactics, openings, and endgames specifically for kids. ChessKid is easy. Whether you're a parent helping your child, a coach managing dozens of kids, or a school of hundreds. Signing up is free and easy, so what are you waiting for?
Welcome back, everyone, to Kids versus Stars, episode 2. And we have quite a match in our hands, a very narrow 6.5 to 5.5 lead for the kids over the Stars. The kids being Bodhana and Antek Radzimski, the Stars being Anna-Maja Kazarian and also Nemo. Well, you know, we have each of a star that goes by one name. We got Bodhana, we got Nemo. If we had Madonna as the commentator, everything would be perfect, Ketty.
Yeah, I'll change my name if that's what you're asking for.
No. Nobody wants you to step aside for Madonna. That's not what the crowd is asking for.
Okay, then. So, Mike, we do have the information that out of 4 participants, we do have 2 participants playing at the Olympiad upcoming tournament, huge event in Budapest. That is Bodhana. She is going to play for the first time at the age of 9. This is a huge, mind-blowing thing. Just imagine being 9-year-old playing at the Chess Olympiad. That is just amazing thing. Me talking about that at the age of 30 plus, it is a huge thing, Mike, to do. And we also have Anna-Maja, as I know she will be also playing for Dutch team. I don't know about Nemo. Perhaps she will also play for her team for Canada. And that is actually amazing. We have 3 and 4 stars in this tournament. Indeed. And Mike, I see the games are starting. We have
Indeed.
First moves already.
We've switched opponents. It's Netherlands versus England, the rematch. That was an allusion to the Euro Cup. England did pretty well after starting out down a goal, but we go back to chess. It is a classic advanced French. And yes, we are seeing 2, maybe 3 Olympians. In fact, Nemo qualified to represent Canada back in 2022, but had some visa issues to get into India. And I don't know if she'll play this year, but it'd be pretty cool if she did. And we are back to chess. And all those kids need to do is hold on to their narrow lead. Now, this early trade is meant to prevent white from being able to take back. So by trading early, we have a little bit of a cost benefit here. You don't allow white to ever take. So black's goal is to put this knight on f5 and win the pawn, but you do allow the knight to get to c3 rather early. So, and if white's not careful, black will just very simply get this knight to f5 and win the pawn. I've always thought these positions were great for black, but what do I know? It looks like black's doing all the dictating of the action.
Yeah, well, I know that. I know that Anna-Maja just recently started to play French defense, and she loves to do so. Perhaps she will show her best. And we also know that both Anna-Maja and Nemo, our stars, are streaming and they're sharing their opinion live about this game. So this is really, really nice thing. But Mike, is also something that you're somehow dividing your attention to play and also to chat and to stream. So that's a double trouble for our stars.
Right. By the way, somebody in the stream asked if Poland has nominated their team yet for the Olympiad. I truthfully don't know, but if you're insinuating that Antek can qualify this year, No, Poland has a stacked team. They beat USA in a recent Olympiad. They are awesome. And they're fighting for medals. But Antek, you'll have your chance
In some years, not
Yeah.
next Olympian
It looks
for
like
sure.
black is gearing up for a little sacrifice here, Crocodile. The knight wanted to capture and the queen come down and take, but white has fixed that problem. And that was kind of like what we call an El Cheapo in the chess teaching business, because if the threat doesn't work, your queen probably belonged here to continue to pressure both of these pawns. So the El Cheapo didn't work. And now I'm not sure your queen really wants to be on C7.
Yeah, maybe black wants to use this C file somehow, but I love the bishop on D3, how this bishop is holding the knight on C2, and perhaps looking for some kind of kingside attack, G3, H4, H5 to annoy this knight on G6 and find the use of the light square bishop.
Yeah, that's a good plan. And by the way, just to update on the voting, it's gotten pretty close. Chat says 52% of you think that the kids are going to hold on with their 1-point advantage and win. So nearly a 50-50 split. The knight goes back to A7 to increase a little bit of pressure on the knight, but more to activate this bishop. If the bishop got to A4, then suddenly all of black's pieces would make a lot of sense. However, white has ways of stopping that. I think the simple rook A1, you don't want to push the pawn and weaken more squares. Rook A1 looks like the most natural move.
I love it. I love the rook A1. Very simple, quiet move. Holding position together on the queen side, and she knows she's stronger on the king side. Instead, she gives up the pawn or blunders the pawn.
I don't get it. I guess if the pawn was captured, white was going to like throw stuff at the king side. I really don't get it. But now I don't get why black didn't just take the pawn.
Yeah, something mysterious just happened, but this is good for white to close the queen side. That's where black is stronger, and now this knight on A7 is not the strongest piece, so that's why Bodhana wanted to get this knight back on C6. Mike, what do you think white's plan is in this position?
I think white's plan should be to expand on the king side because you got the queen side completely locked down. Black has to play for F6. There's no other breaks. Now black is thinking that there's going to be some sort of breakthrough on these pawns, but the pawns are guarded for the moment. And I'm afraid our stars are giving our kids bad lessons. Remember back to the Nemo versus Bodhana match where Nemo put all of her pawns in the same color as the bishop. And now for the second time, Bodhana is putting all of her pawns on the same color as bishop. Of course, I'm kidding a little bit, but that bishop looks really, really terrible. And here we go. Anna-Maja, who cannot hear me, I'm making sure that's clear, is throwing pieces down the board. And you just have to soften up the king side. You actually don't even have to be fast, because black is doing nothing unless there's some sort of sacrificial trick. Black is doing nothing, and H6 computer loves it.
I love H6. I love it. You have to play G6, I guess, in this position. Otherwise, white will open up the position. And now we might have some sort of sacrifices here. Maybe bishop to G5 to trade the dark square bishops first. Maybe something like knight to H4 to increase the pressure on G6. But bishop to G5 seems more logical move to me.
Yeah, F7 actually could get difficult to defend in some reasons, although I'm now seeing that the bishop has one utility in life, which is that it could guard the F7 square.
That's the blunder, Mike.
Did it hang a pawn?
We just blundered. Yeah. We just blundered the pawn on D4 in a team with Anna-Maja.
None of this we business, okay? I wasn't a part of it. I'm just kidding. I've hung mate today, so I've done a lot worse. But yeah, black was just biding her time. Bodhana's like, you're going to make a mistake. And now Bodhana looks like a genius because now everything is crashing through and you can't even take because you lose the exchange after rook takes. Now it's like survival mode for Anna-Maja. I'm sure that move came as a shock to her. And now got to be careful. If your queen moves here, there's a potential fork on F3 and she gives away the exchange. Computer says, no.
Check. And now she can take the knight peacefully. Oi.
Yeah,
there was fantastic position for white, and everything just went back. Although the pawn on F7, this bishop can be a hero, but instead Bodhana decided to push the pawn. Still, game is on. We have to
down a rook, and I want to point out this great defensive move because if you guard the pawn the way that I suggested a minute ago, then out of nowhere you get yourself mated on the dark squares. So that was a very clever defensive idea. If we go back F5, who cares about en passant? Because now you can't capture your own pawn in chess. Very special thing that you just learned today. And that F pawn blocks all of the invasion for the white queen.
Yeah, very smart decision indeed. White almost lost on time there, but position is also quite difficult. So here we have the first win for Bodhana against Anna-Maja.
Exactly. So Bodhana increases the lead to 2, and it looks like the other game is over. And in that other game, the kids won as well. The other game being Antek versus Nemo. Nemo lost her opening game. Antek wins, and that's where we're going to go next. We're going to see Antek versus Nemo. Antek having the white pieces.
And we have the information in the chat that Bodhana is still unbeaten today. That is, if that's correct, actually, we have seen so many games. I am just messing up everything. If that's correct, that is well done from 9-year-old to be so solid.
Now, that's great information. I didn't even realize that all of Nemo's points that she got in the opening section were via draws. Apparently, she had 4 draws and 2 losses against Bodhana. Here, I'd like to point out, I have nothing against the 4 knights opening. Okay. However, you mentioned your age earlier. I'm not going to mention mine. It's okay if somebody of my age to play the 4 knights, because my heart doesn't work as well as it used to. We have to slow things down. But if you play the 4 knights and you play A3, it's like you're just playing black. I mean, I think G3 might be called the Gleck. And yes, you have to look up who that person is. I think he plays for Belgium now, Igor Gleck. But A3 is so slow. Antek, I guess he's just, maybe he's in, the Piedmont region of Italy. He's in Tuscany. Things are nice and quiet. And okay, anyway, he gets a relatively normal position. Now we're in the live position. The jokes are over. And what do you see? Do you like the bishops or you like the healthier pawns for Antek?
I think I like bishops because I believe that if they are strong and they have the open diagonals, they can be even to extra pawn. And we can see the engine bar is about to decide for black here. And the point is that these bishops are just scanning towards the knights. Maybe bishop e6 can also attack another knight. And that's going to be tough to hold on pawns. And just imagine, Mike, if the b pawn falls, then it's going to be just terrible on the queen side for white.
Yeah, and Katie, tell me if you agree, but I believe that a lot of amateur players overweight the importance of double pawns and they underweight the importance of the bishops. And in this position, I'm with you. The bishops are much more important. In fact, the double pawns help control the center. It's okay in chess to weaken or isolate a side pawn, a rook pawn, whatever you want to call it, because it's so hard to attack those pawns. And the bishops look great. The knight's in big trouble if it moves. B2 falls. Now, apparently there was some sort of inaccuracy by black, but in general, I love the black pieces. It should be mentioned, I think that was only the second round where the kids went 2-0. In round 2, remember, they were down and they went 2-0. So that was an important round we just saw for the kids.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. And additionally, I want to just point out here, because of these double pawns, the rook from b8 has a really good target on b file, and the pawn on b2 is something that black is looking for. And maybe you can play a5 a4 somewhere to give up even another pawn to open up even further the position. However, now after bishop to a6, the threat was bishop to c4 to win the exchange. Another bishop is gone here for white. I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, that was not my #1 way of stopping the bishop c4 threat. The bishops look really good. And now, this is another interesting topic we don't have time to go into fully, but when do you trade your positional advantage for a material one? And that's what black's basically trying to decide here. When do I start taking? And apparently, black is Nemo. Nemo's like, I'm just going to go checkmate you. But I would have looked to take some of these knights and cash in on my material advantage.
Okay, I like that too, but I like the checkmate idea more. I was thinking something like bishop to h3 sacrifice, then queen g5, queen to f4. Maybe that's too much, maybe it's not accurate. But what black is doing here is that she wants to create here some dark square weaknesses.
Yeah, I love the
G5,
idea.
queen to f. Oh, it's actually working. Oh.
Don't be so surprised, Crocodile.
Good job. Yeah, it's really late here, so almost midnight. So that's why I was questioning my tactical skills at this moment. But
the king can move there, but the computer says that the sacrifice is still sound because you play f5. You get your rook involved in the fun, and that would have been amazing. So if we go back to our
Yeah.
live position, that's a great example of attacking the hook pawn. And this is our live position. The rook does a great job, though, of stopping that idea.
Yep. Now c5, c4 is another threat of baby fork here, so white has to take care of it. All the white pieces are so concentrated on the queen side that gives the signal to black to attack the king side. Perhaps somewhere f5 will also make a sense.
Antek showing some solidarity with me, showing me what a receded hairline will look like for him in 40 years. But somebody asked about the time control. It is 3+1. And we've got this round and 4 more to go. This is an important round. If you are the stars, you can't just keep trading blow for blow. You're going to need some 2-0 rounds, or at least some 1.5 to 1/2 rounds. It's been a while, Katie, since the stars have won a round. I think it was only round 1, maybe, where they got 1.5 out of the 2. Maybe there was another round they got 1.5 out of 2, but they've yet to get their first 2-0 round, and they badly need one.
Yeah, they surely need this one. Maybe this is the game, because Nemo has really good chances here, as white's pieces are not connected. Queen is too far. There are some weaknesses on the dark squares. I like move g5. I don't know if it's working or not, but I somehow like to expose the dark squares even more. Instead, black goes back queen
Very
to
passive.
d8. The pawn on c7 was hanging. Some regrouping of the pieces here, or
I thought it was in
it was
Nemo's
just
nature to
hanging.
leave the queen and play rook b2 on general principle. Just get the rook in from the side. I'm not sure if it worked, but she's playing passively. One thing I'll say, she had a pretty nice time advantage, so she wanted to make sure to keep this game going for as long as possible. Now her time advantage is almost dissipated completely, and now she's got to win this game a second time. She's got a very small advantage.
That's right. The bishop is hanging. Bishop to d7. Bishop can get on c6 later on to hit the pawn on e4. And yep.
Yeah,
Is
and
there
now
a
a
queen?
fork of the queen and the rook.
Oh
Nicely
no,
done.
the rook.
Okay, she wins the exchange. She's up 7 seconds, and she's picking off pawns. She's basically capturing one white piece every single turn. Rook takes c3, knight d5 is more than a small issue, so she's got to watch out. Queen takes, now if the knight moves, queen takes rook on g3. So we have f6. I think you can take with your queen, but maybe there was a knight g5 issue. Queen in
Yeah, but now g6 is coming. I'm not a big fan of this move. Queen e7, hanging the rook, rook g6, and there's gonna be some checkmate things.
What a move. And she decides to give the rook because she was so afraid. That was not a blunder. She was afraid of rook takes g6. And now she's down a piece. Check the clock. She only has 1 second. And now she's going to lose because she's down a rook.
She's giving up everything. Oh no.
Yes, she resigned.
Oh no.
The other game is still in progress, so we'll take a look at it. And right when we switch over, it was a tragedy for the stars. The kids have their second straight 2-0 round. And what began in our second half is a very close match. The kids have now opened up a huge 10.5 to 5.5 lead. Kitty, one more 2-0 round for the kids, and it's all over, because 12.5 is the magic number in this match.
It is 12.5. So this was really bad luck for the stars. We have seen Nemo's game in the end. There was such a good chance, but you know, they can fight back in this game. Let's see how it's gonna go. Anna-Maja with white pieces. I guess Bodhana, she needs to get the advantage in the opening and then try to outplay her.
Yeah, that's good analysis. And Anna-Maja sensing she needs a win, and also sensing that things didn't go that well in her advanced French last time. She played the exchange French. Bodhana went back to the well by playing the French again. And actually, Bodhana's position looks very suspicious with these killer bees, but somehow the computer says it's just fine. Bishop takes f7 is check. And I don't understand chess. Bishop takes f7, king over, rook takes, and then your head bishop hanging your bishop on d6. Wow. Wow and wow. Did not see that one.
Oh, wow. This is insane. This is insane game. I love every move that these two players are doing.
I don't see Anna-Maja doing much talking on stream. I think she senses the criticalness of the moment.
You know what? With these two rooks on e-file, she might even think that it's okay for the moment, because black is behind the development and all the pieces are on the back rank. So she might not be dramatic yet.
That was such, I always call that bad luck. That was so strange that bishop d6 was a bad move because it is so obvious to attack that rook and have your light square diagonal crash through. But Bodhana saw more. I wouldn't even be surprised if Bodhana saw bishop d6 and knew that she always had this this out clause with rook takes e2.
Okay, this is getting very complicated as now the pawn on b7 is gone. I think white is somehow turning the tables here. Knight to d5 or knight to b5 would make a sense. There is the back rank issue here in this position, but Anna-Maja goes first very safe, h3. I don't think that's the time for that move. She had to play something very aggressive. d4 now, hitting the knight. Knight goes on e4. Trading the pieces is much better for black to reduce the stress on the board. Tension.
I didn't like the trade of the knights, but it's such a human move to start trading pieces. I certainly understand playing that move. Got to be a little careful. If you play bishop f5, rook e8 becomes an issue.
That's right. Queen to d5, hitting the bishop and the pawn at the same time. There are too many pieces on the d file. That's a kind of traffic there. Queen to f6.
Okay, solid move, clearing out the d file. And now black probably wants to activate this bishop just to fix all of those problems on the d file. Black would also love to push a pawn in front of the king at some point, just because that back rank is getting weak. But it's not the biggest problem just yet, because e8 is covered.
It is covered. White actually took... Yeah, I thought rook to d4 would be played here, but Anna-Maja decided to trade the queens and to go to the rook into the endgame. Maybe it's safer there.
Yeah, bishops are famously not able to guard each other when they get all stacked up, but black quickly fixes that problem. Remember, if the kids go 2-0, it's all over. So the stars, the pair of 24-year-olds, they need some wins, and they need them now.
They have to win now. Rook to d5, hitting the bishop on c5. Bishop b6 is safe and sound there. I think black can now just put the pieces together somewhere to play h6 to make sure there's no back rank issue. And yeah, she can just pull it.
There's always the danger that with 3 minor pieces running around the board that these rooks will get forked or pins or skewered. But for right now, the rooks are surviving, dynamically equal because it's such an open chessboard that the rooks can run around the board freely. That's the reason that the computer is saying that the rook is okay against the 2 minors in this position.
All right, we have, I think, good information for the stars. There is an information that Nemo got the win. So,
okay, well, that means that the gap is only 3 points, 10.5 to 7.5. Nemo getting her first win against Antek in their little mini match. And actually, that might be her first win of the whole match, if our information is correct, if she did, in fact, never beat Bodhana. So Nemo on the board, and things are tightening up. Okay, the rook moves back. This pawn is, of course, pressured a lot. But if you win the pawn, you lose your a7 pawn. I don't like that trade for black, because then white will have the only passer on the chessboard over here on a2.
Yeah, and black is now just using the power of pair of bishop and attacking the rook. Perhaps another bishop will attack the rook. Bishop to c5. Bishop to f6 is also an idea here to play safer.
Yeah, I think she wanted to guard the a pawn. That's why she went back to c5. Let me remind our viewers of the general axiom in chess. When you are facing the 2 rooks like this, when you're down the exchange, or if you have 2 minors for the rook, you want to keep one set of rooks on the board. One reason is because it's easier to target the enemy rooks if you keep one set of rooks on the board. There's a bigger chance of forks and pins and skewers. But these bishops, they're sort of falling all over themselves. I guess you could play a5 in this position, but something feels very suspicious about your bishops getting chased all around the board.
Yep, and black is playing also without a knight. This knight has not moved at all. However, if you leave the king alone, there will be some back rank issues and the light square issues too. White can play h5, bishop to g6 in that position. So that's why black is keeping the knight there and struggling to move. Wait, is that white?
Yeah, trapped in
oh my, oh no.
97. Now, at the very least, you could play rook takes knight and then take the bishop and enjoy your.
How about rook e8 here? Rook e8, rook e8, bishop e8.
Yeah.
Knight is hanging, bishop is hanging. Oh, what?
Yeah, everything seems to do well in this position. Yeah, rook e8, I think, is a simpler move. Exactly right.
Yeah,
All
don't
right.
flood yourself. You have to move. Rook e8 check.
Okay, the comeback could be on. This could be the first 2-0 round for the Stars. A nice find by Anna-Maja. And now what will she do? Oh, no, it's opposite colored bishop. She didn't have to do that. She could have just retreated her rook.
Hey.
And the
Oh,
minor pieces were
no.
all kinds of a problem for black. Now she's going to have to win. I mean, it might be winning because you can create a pass pawn on both sides of the board, but man, this is not going to be easy. This was not the way
No.
to pressure your opponent. Is it even a
They
win
are
with this?
too far apart. No,
Oh,
it's going to
no.
be a
Now she can only
draw.
get one passed pawn.
Hey.
Okay. Still, there's a little bit of an idea, though. If she gets her pawn to b6,
Yeah.
okay, well,
But
now
you're
she's
not
gone
on
this way.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she should
King
have put her king
c7 is
on
on time.
c6 to keep the black king out of the way, actually.
Hmm.
Okay, now it should be a pretty
Yeah.
easy draw. In fact, the king can sit on b8 forever. You can just move your bishop around the board. You see, in these kind of positions,
Exactly.
you have to block the enemy king out, because once the king gets any square in front of the pawn, you can never make it move. So I don't know how many moves they're going to
No.
make here, but they can't actually agree to a draw. So we might enjoy 50 moves, or we might not enjoy it, but we're going to sit through it.
Oh, where this king goes. That was very fast.
Let me check the chance to remind you about
Okay.
the Champions Chess Tour. Oh, okay, they actually did draw by repetition, and it was still a successful
Wow, what a
round. But Katie,
game.
I think the Stars needed more than 1.5 points from that round. They're down 11-7.
11-7. Okay. Well, we have an information that Antek actually blundered the queen and had the bodice gambit situation in the other game. And here we also had some sort of blunders too. I just wonder if Anna-Maja just mouse slip that move in the end, or it was just intentional. I don't know. Maybe she thought it was winning endgame for her.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, it takes patience to just move a piece back and continue the pressure. So
Yeah.
she may have just seen, hey, rook for 2 minors, but didn't realize the opposite colored bishops would be the result. Not quite sure. Maybe it won't make a difference in the match, but now we arrive at a situation where the kids need only 1.5 points to secure a match win. And they've got a lot of games left to do it, because there are 6 total games left in the match, 3 rounds of head-to-head matchups. I do want to say that, I don't know if this is going to make the Stars feel better, but they've already eclipsed their point total from the last match when they lost 18-6. They've got 7 points. So there's that, but they are trying to win the entire match, of course.
Yeah. There was a question about draw. Why we have this rule, no draw for, what's the reason for that, Mike?
We want them to play fighting chess, and we've actually started to introduce this rule in many of our other events, including the ChessKid Youth Championship. We have the rule. Now, what we just saw on the screen there was really weird, opposite colored bishops, but you can see the players didn't actually play 50 moves. They both recognized that they could repeat. There's a little bit of a workaround.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason that in most of our events, we are getting rid of draw offers, because we don't want to see them. And we don't even want to open up the possibility that, you know, 2 players would just...
The boring draws, yeah.
And also, Katie,
Yeah.
I don't know if our live server can be programmed to only allow draw offers after move 30, as often exists in the over the chessboard world. I literally
we
don't
call
know
it
the
Sophia
limitations of our
rule.
live server.
Yeah. We call that a Sophia rule, and I hate when players are making easy draws. That's so not cool. And also, as a player, I hated that when the other players were making draws, because I'm the one who plays like 6 hours every round, each round, and then they're going easily, and they have always half a point more than I had. So always hated that rule, that people could make a draw. And also makes sense here, because if you want to make a draw, you basically make it like in 10-15 moves. And when you have seconds on the clock, there's no room to offer a draw here, right? On the server, you have to make some clicks, and that's impossible. You just prefer to make the moves instead.
That's exactly right. Now, taking a look at one of the salient moments of this game, we would normally maybe think about capturing this way, although then black could actually push and activate a bishop. By taking this way, you do a lot of good for white and a lot of bad for black. The bishop is blocked in, and the G file is going to be an asset. I know it looks like a weakness a little bit, but the king will calmly step aside, and the rook will take its place. And along with this bishop who's spying the king, by the way, that bishop is now
Ooh.
unopposed. It's the only light squared bishop on the board. A lot of potential. Let's go back to the live position, and you can see it's a
Oh, I
slow
love that.
Yeah, black's not doing much. Black has to play for c4, but it's going to take a while to get this move in.
Yeah, after all you put this together, I love white's position. I like this potential king side attack. You can even double the rooks on the G file. A4 is a blunder. The computer says it's a blunder. Maybe it's some. Oh, okay. And after taking on F5, there's E4, and the king on H2 is under check.
Nice
Well
find
done,
by
Nemo.
black. Nice find by you, Keddy. And that frees up all of black's position. Not only does black maybe win a small amount of material, but suddenly the black piece is a release. That's probably the most important thing. Somebody in the chat is asking, how much do they get for getting roasted? If you mean the stars, I do want to say they are risking a little bit of reputation playing the kids, but it's for the content. Remember how Levy was milking Hikaru for content for years? Now Hikaru is milking Levy. Well, the stars, they get this cool format where they get to play these kids. And also, by the way, if you ever want to beat Bodhana, the clock is ticking. You got about 2 more months for it to even be a possibility. Okay, so they also have that they can add to their resumes, and that's if they beat Bodhana. I don't think Nemo actually won a game.
Yeah, it's actually cool. And knight G5 now.
Yeah, knight G5 looked great. Maybe you know what? Maybe was best. Let's go back. Maybe Bishop G5 and just trade bishops and play knight up. That may have been the way.
Love
to go.
it.
Very calm.
Yeah,
okay.
love it.
Black gets the pawn back. The bishop actually found
Now
its way
Bishop
around
G5. Yeah, a little bit too late.
This is the Cookie Monster version. I eat a cookie, and then I go back and I do it to you again. Now, in this particular possibility, though, maybe white can sack an exchange at a timely moment instead of losing a rook for nothing. I don't know why this is a little bit worse than before. Queen G2 breaks the pin, by the way. Although, Queen G2. And if you take, the queen is not overworked. She actually mates.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I thought it was a blunder, but it's a tricky blunder. It's a double blunder.
Not
bishop
found.
to
Now the bishop can hop in. The knight can go to G5. I think Queen G2 was a critical defensive move. Antek is back on his heels. The bishop is pinned, though. Remember, it better not move, or there's a mate.
H4?
Okay, trade queens.
First trade.
Now you can take with the bishop if you want. Still, black is doing well. Not fully in control, but doing well. Quick check of the clocks. Nemo is down on time. But she has a position where I think you can play a lot of moves quickly. Actually, not so sure about what I just said. The bishops are a little annoying.
Yeah, knight can be quite tricky, though. 95 somewhere can jump. However, white is about to open up the file. Rook to a1 comes rook to a7 later on. And then this bishop from h4 can go back to g3 and c7, perhaps, to annoy black's pieces.
Yeah, white's got some dynamic counterplay. I thought black was holding the fort until that a file opened. Now I see the rook charging in, the bishops are charging in, and computer says white has more than compensation for the pawn.
Exactly, because of the a file and the back rank issues and the light squares that black has here, I think that's actually quite nice chances here for white.
I'm spying both games. Antek small lead in this game, but Anna-Maja has a small lead in her game. So it doesn't look like the whole tournament will get decided in this round, but it's still possible. Okay, so c4, here comes the break. Nemo wants to try something.
F6.
Yeah, F6 looks great to open up the bishop. Classic breakthrough. Nice one, Katie. Not
okay
yet. You don't play F6
I like the king walk here. Yeah, king. Oh, I love it.
Now, if white gets too frisky, the e-pawn will come down the board, and the Nemo recognizes that. She says, I'm going to lose my entire queen side. I'm going to push, but a very nice move. Bishop e4, stopping all counterplay. Antek showing some maturity with that move.
I like that he didn't capture the pawn on b6. Instead, he activated the king first, guarded the pawn on c4.
And with Nemo, okay, now if he takes the pawn d3, discover check, and the pawn is going places. So he's being very careful about when to capture. He actually could get himself mated if his king moves here and the bishop move. Actually, it is kind of mate. Yeah, rook check, king over, bishop.
It's a mate, yeah.
Okay, but he avoids that. Okay,
king b7 to be safe.
Yeah, you just have to not lose. Your opponent's got 2 seconds, and it's a pretty indefensible position. Can probably take the bishop, but there's no real need to.
Yeah, we have here the obstacle color bishop, but this is definitely much better because king is more active and the pawn is just too far. And here we have Antek winning a very important win and getting very close to winning the whole
Exactly. We
competition.
have to check actually that other score because Antek wins, that's 12. And I'm trying to find that other game. Did the kids get at least a draw from that last game? Somebody give me some intel. It was a draw. Do I have that right?
I do
No, I'm looking at the wrong
see
game.
12-8.
Ah, so the
That's the
Stars
point.
won that other game. A critical win that postpones the drama a little bit longer. And which game? We just looked at Antoni. Okay, so Anna-Maja got the win against Bodhana and Keddy. That's the only thing that keeps this match going. It's very simple. We have 4 games left, and the Stars need to run the table. Bodhana plays the Perts. I love it. She's my favorite player of all time already. She plays D6 when she only needs a draw, and she actually took about 30 seconds to play that move. I could have told you it was the
Wow.
best move in 1 second.
Wait, why it is best? Can I also
played it
get on board?
Get on board the Perks train. Okay, now she's playing like the Pribble. Is this called the Pribble? I don't even know what it's called. But anyway, a very interesting opening. I guess she didn't want to go back to her trusty French.
Okay. Because Anna-Maja was playing French and maybe Bodhana just gets tired of it and she wants to change a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's why you always need to have a backup opening. If one, like even if your favorite opening is not going on your way, you need to have a backup. I like knight h2, knight g4 ideas to trade the knights and open up the h file for the rook. Instead, what goes f4? That's also pretty looking.
Yeah, I love it. And, you got to go for broke. Our production team, I'm sure, is keeping all 4 players apprised of the score. And although Anna-Maja is not talking with Nemo, they know that the winning score is 12.5, and they know they're down 12-8. So throw some pieces at your opponent. You got to win 2 in a row if you're Anna-Maja and if you're Nemo. But we will stay here. We'll keep half an eye on the other game, but we're still early in this round 11 action, I guess we can call it.
Yeah. Okay. Here the instance of black is like so good in this position. It's like it's slightly better, but I like white's ideas here. Rook f3, rook g3, the rook lifts, and some kind of sacrifices on h6. Kind of like that.
H6 sacrifices totally are possible. And remember, you're not going to want to play unsound moves here on move 13, but you can be a little bit freewheeling when you absolutely need to win. So I'm sure that Anna-Maja is considering the sacrifice, maybe even right now. She might even be thinking about it right now, but she plays the calmer move and takes on d4. And, it's getting to be 8:30 in the UK. It is summertime, so I'm pretty sure the sun is still up for like 3 more hours in the UK. But we're going to keep an eye on Bodhana. Hopefully she's got I'm not going to advertise unhealthy drinks, but hopefully she's got a caffeinated drink or something to keep her awake here.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that when I was traveling for long distance as a kid, like for instance from Georgia to Vietnam, there was a huge time difference. Our training routine was adjusted to that time, and we were working really late, really late for us, and most of the kids were just sleepy on the training. So I don't know how they were, like I don't know how seriously they are taken, but they can also do that. Like I'm sure they had some trainings for a few days, and maybe they were just playing the games in the evening.
Yeah,
to keep the
honestly, even though
brain
it's an
awake.
exhibition match, if you put me in front of what looks like, almost 4,000 people watching, I'm going to play my best chess. So it doesn't matter if we're betting for a sandwich. Look what she does. She plays d5 here because she wants to get rid of that weakness, but she's got to be careful that this pawn doesn't lurch up the board and white continues to expand. So bishop f4, white clearly is thinking about playing this move. And after bishop takes something like rook over, now she might get out of jail with bishop d4 check, but she's got to be careful about e5.
Mike, how about e5, bishop e5? Everything trades and then f6 to expose the king side.
Wow. Okay. So
Takes
everybody
and f6.
leaves the board and then you push. And then if you're black, you just buckle up because you're going to get attacked. Maybe g6. I don't know. Your queen can slide over for defense. But white is clearly poking some holes in the black position for sure.
And you can also just play rook to e1, perhaps from d file, and prepare this move e5 to be even more scary to be played.
Yeah, Anna-Maja does choose that slow approach. She did take a lot of time, and Ketty, you have to believe she was thinking about your idea because, I don't know, I was going to say all Georgians think alike.
Because we're Georgians.
I'm not sure where
Yeah,
I'm
we
going
have
with
some
that
Georgian
joke,
connections.
Yes. Okay, but rook over to e1 now. Will she save her knight or just play e5? She goes for the slow approach. She's down a little bit on the clock, but we know what's coming. Now, if you're Bodhana, if you try to stick your bishop on e5, then we have to think about the f6 move again. So it's not like bishop e5 solves all the problems. And this slow buildup, I think, is actually working well for Anna-Maja here.
Exactly, knight h5 is coming, and then bishop h6 or e5 will be even stronger, and we can see the engine bar goes all the way up. I love knight h5 here in this position.
I have to jump in and say that the other game ended, and Antek's victory over Nemo has sealed the match for the kids. The kids will win their second consecutive match. It was a closer margin. Now, we are going to play all the games out. We're playing all 24 games today. But this game suddenly has lost a little bit of its drama, not for anything that the players are doing, but simply because of the other match. So the kids have gotten to the magic number of 13. It is lucky 13, and the kids will beat the stars once again.
Yeah, that happened already. However, this game is still so interesting. The engine bar is going up and down all the time. Yeah, I think both players have such nice chances here to score the win. Somewhere I was thinking some rook to h4, 94, 95 ideas, but that's pretty time consuming here.
I like it. All right, as we're coming up on the conclusion of this game, Chad, I've got another tough question for you. Who should we get for our next 2v2 edition? Which two kids, which two stars? And if you say Hikaru and Magnus, then my question is going to be, which two kids are going to compete with them? So give me a realistic matchup. Thank you, Hyper Chess, for finding my my emoji there, my emoticon. But tell us who you'd like to see in the next 2v2. Oh, look at this mate, rook exchange. Anna-Maja finds a forced mate, saving a little bit of
Yeah, and earlier
there.
she made a brilliant move with knight h5, knight sacrifice. So I have seen her doing this already. I have seen her game doing that. Like just a move before Mike, she captured the pawn on h5, made a brilliant move. Two brilliant moves
Let's look at
in
all
these
that, Kenny.
games.
I like it. Let's look at all that. The
Love
sacrifice
it.
to open the H file. Now we have a rare counter check. Black plays queen takes e5 check, and white answers a check with a check. By the way, if you go to Tim Krabbe's Chess Curiosities page, you will see that the record for most checks in a row is 6. Go there, look at it. Don't do it now. That's a counter check. And when the king moves, then we sacrifice the rook to get the queen to h6 with check. It is a brilliant game. And one of Bodhana's first, maybe only losses of the event.
Second loss, actually.
She's been
Anna-Maja
awesome.
won. Yeah, Anna-Maja won another match. And this one is actually brilliant. And you can see her laughing. I can hear her laughing here in Georgia. I'm a big fan of her laughs at the streams. And yeah, that's the game you want to play indeed, especially against such a talented chess player as Bodhana is.
Right. Now, there's still a little bit to play for in that other match because Bodhana won her first match against Nemo 4-2. She's currently tied, I believe, 2.5 to 2.5 against Anna-Maja. So she's trying to win her little mini match, but it's 13-9. The kids have already clinched the match, but this is our final 2 games. We are going to keep our flip-flop here and go back and look at Antek versus Nemo. And in this little mini match, this is really the mini match that I think clinched it for the kids because Antek has won 4 out of the 5 games. So he's not showing any tiredness, although it looks like the sun has gone down in Italy there, where he's playing his match from. So, but
it's
he doesn't
really
need
dark in there.
Yeah, he doesn't need natural light when he's got the talent that he's got.
Yeah. There are a lot of suggestions in the chat about next stars versus the kids. And we also already had Levi versus Faustino. Mike, that was a pretty awesome match and very close match. I think a year ago, right? A bit more than a year ago.
That was such a special match. We did 1v1 and Levy was that big. And I think Fausti won like the final 3 games. And then Fausti did win in overtime, right? My memory.
Yeah, but it was very small margin. It was, I even remember less than 3 games. I remembered 1 or 2 final games or the margin, but it was like pretty awesome match of Faustino and Levy.
I love this suggestion though, and throwing in Nigel Short would be pretty amazing too. That would be a fantastic 2v2. By the way, we do want to give full credit to Nemo and Anna-Maja, because when you're an adult and you play against these kids, there's not a lot to be gained. And by the way, Levy, 5 million YouTube followers, and he plays these matches. Of course, it's fantastic content.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of bravery, Ketty, to play against kids.
Yeah, I know. I know. And well done, both Nemo and Anna-Maja. Nemo for the 2nd time coming back and playing against kids, and Anna-Maja on a very, very short notice, she's coming and playing. And actually, I think this match was very, very close, actually.
Yeah, I totally agree. It could have gone either way. Turns out Nemo was a little bit slower than I think in some of our opponents. That might have been, is this queen trapped? You gotta play
queen!
B3.
Queen!
Yeah.
No!
It's sad for the queen. Antek has put the queen on B2 just to save her. Okay, but he did find the only move to save her. These are some pretty sad pieces on the queen side. And then you got a knight doing his own thing over here. We got a soldier behind enemy lines. Shout out to Owen Wilson from that late 90s movie. Obscure reference. That's my
no idea about that. But I like rook a3 because you want to play c3 now.
Guarding the bishop to play c3. Love the idea. Exactly right. Now,
Antek not so happy. Look at him. Look at him. He's not happy.
Bishop e1. I mean, these are really sad, but okay. There's no pressure on him anymore. He's, probably been apprised by our producers that the game won't actually affect the result of the match. But like any chess player, he wants to finish strong and get as many points as he can. But bishop e1 is really sad. Now, what if you do if you're Nemo to finish things off?
That's a good question.
Maybe F5
the pawn on e3 is hanging.
F5.
F5.
Okay, yeah. F5 just trapping the knight permanently. I don't know. It's a thought.
I like that. I also like to take the pawn on e3. Bishop c4.
Yeah. Another game, by the way, still going on. Bodhana and Anna-Maja are roughly equal position, but we'll stay here. Basically, anything wins. But you got to be careful because you can drain your... Oh, F5 was found. Computer says no, but it kind of does trap the knight. Okay, we can
kind of fancy. Shall we get the queen into the game? But then you give up the control over f7 square.
Okay, so yeah, Black was worried about this queen traveling to that H file and some discovered attacks happening. So now Black wants to be able to control the H file whenever it opens, and it just did. Queen over. Now knight takes could be an issue. You might want to play.
I love it. I love that idea. And if you play queen to h6, now queen to d6, maybe hitting the knight, getting some counterplay. Oh no. I see. Bishop f5 can be somewhere there. Some sacrifices.
An amazing turnaround. I mean, look at this. The white pieces were totally tangled up on the first rank, and this queen has found a geometric motif to get in the game.
How about king g2 here? How about king g2, rook h1, and then something like knight f5 moves?
Yeah, that totally makes sense as well. In fact, if you're white, you want to keep the queens on the board. So I want to sacrifice. Okay. Now there's going to be a lot of pawns coming up the board. Computer.
Oh, that was a really good move, actually.
Queen h6 must be the idea. G6 is an idea. Yep.
G6.
And now the bishop's going to come into the game.
Bishop d6. Bishop d6 winning the queen.
Oh, well, it didn't win the queen. Oh, I see, because king takes and then g7. Yeah, that would maybe this is even better, but yeah, good spot, Ketty.
Looks amazing.
Wow, and the bees are just rolling. Every time the king tries to find shelter, a bishop targets the king one more time.
Wow, what a play here by Antek.
Really impressive stuff. The other game has finished. And it looks like it was a draw. So the question is, Antek wins. There is no question. 14 and a half points for the kids. The stars do 3.5 points better than last time. However, the stars still go down. The kids are victorious. And I know they're tired, but we do want to speak to the kids super quickly. And we also want to speak to the stars. So we're going to try to get all 4 players back here before we go to break. What did you think of that second batch action there, Ketty?
I think in the second part, the kids take it over. And yeah, they were faster in tactics and also on time. And that was the key point somehow.
Yeah, that was...
love it.
I was surprised that Nemo seemed like she was a little bit slower, and she's just known for her speed prowess. So anyway, we're going to get the kids on first. We're going to go to a short break to get all of our interviews set up. But the stars go down once again to the kids. The kids score 13.5, 14.5 to 9.5. Before we go to break, I want to remind you about the Crunch Labs Masters. It begins mañana, and we are offering diamond membership. Ketty and I, we earned our diamond, but you can earn yours tomorrow. To those of you who can predict how the cards will fall, how many moves will the longest game be, who will take home the title, and more questions await your wisdom and your possible diamond. Who are you backing in the 2024 Crunch Labs Masters? Use the command !predict in chat for a chance to win a diamond membership on Chess.com. Don't go anywhere. We're going to hear from Bodhana and Antek when we come back after this short break. We'll see you very shortly.
Well, it's time. Fun Master Mike is here for the worldwide premiere of Sour Chess. And my opponent today is going to be Inya. Inya, how are you?
I'm good.
You ready to eat some sour stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like sour stuff?
No, I don't.
When you capture a piece, you get to make your opponent eat something sour. We have a whole range, and we're going to get to that. All right, are you ready, Inya?
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck. All right, let's get some sour. We're going to save the Japanese umabashi for the victor. Inya, where are we going first? Okay, we're going to go for the toxic waste. All right, so toxic waste, Fun Master Mike is going to dig in. It could be like a watermelon type color. Let's see. Okay, I think you have to get past the first part. It's definitely getting worse. I think we're going to continue the game with this in my mouth. It'll take a while. Okay, here we go. Guess what? What? You're not done yet, my little lady. This could be worse because, okay, that smell, if it's soft, I'm not sure if it's soft. But if it is, you can like bite like or a quarter of it. Is it soft? Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, her lips are blue. And pickles aren't even blue. Yeah, okay, I don't know who your dentist is, but I think he's gonna stay in business after this. It'd be funny if I couldn't get the jar open, right? This looks terrible. Your favorite one. You do not have to eat the whole thing, but you have to take a bite that shows me that you've chewed some. Umabashi. I didn't know this word existed until we started planning this video.
This looks really bad.
Just pinch off. I have no idea what it looks like. It was a plum, okay? It looked like a real piece of fruit. Yeah, it's hard to show. We'll show the camera. It's gelatinous and it's probably terrible. All right, let's see what we got. This is the conclusion. Is it terrible?
It's terrible, yeah.
Is it worse than the pickle?
Yeah.
Really? I have to say, thank you, Inya. You're a good sport. You are part of history. This is the first ever game of Sour Chess.
Welcome back, everybody, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you for some of you, some of the newest stars in chess, but you just saw them play quite a match. We had Bodhana Sivanandan from England and Antek Radzimski from Poland, but playing from Italy, and they have won their match. It was a great performance. Congratulations. I want to ask Bodhana the first question. Bodhana, I know you don't play a lot of online blitz, but you played so well today. Do you think we're going to see you play a little bit more online? Sorry, could you speak up a little more? I couldn't quite hear you.
Yeah, maybe I'll play a bit more online.
Okay, well, I'm sure our fans would love to see that. What about for the Olympiad? Do you think that playing some blitz will be good training for the Olympiad?
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Great. I think we might need to speak up a little bit just so people can hear you a little bit more. Can you say that again?
Yeah, I'm excited for the Olympiad, and I think blitz practice would help.
Okay, sounds good. Have you started any training for the Olympiad yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, let me ask Antek a question, and Antek's going to have his mom translate for us. But Antek, what do you think the key to this match was for the kids? What was the most important part?
Jak myślisz, dzięki czemu dzieci wygrały, co było takie najważniejsze?
Nie wiem, tak jakby, że... No, ja nie wiem.
No powiedz.
No, że jakby... No nie wiem, nie poddaliśmy się do końca jakoś grać.
Okay, so Antek thinks that it's because they haven't given up, right? And they are, brave enough and they have more power maybe simply that they didn't give up.
Okay, that sounds good. And I know I said only one question because the kids want to go to sleep, but Antek, we have a grandmaster from Poland in the chat, GM Solver. Now, I think that's probably Kasper Piorun because he's like a genius at solving. I don't know if it's him. But anyway.
Same, yeah.
Okay. Grandmaster from Poland says, which game of the match was the hardest?
Która gra była najtrudniejsza?
Z tą taką, co przegrałem mecz.
So the one match that he lost with Anna-Maja Kazarian probably, right? And which match was it? Do you remember?
No...
The first one?
Przegrałem.
The one which he lost with Anna-Maja Kazarian. So this was the hardest.
Yeah, I don't think we actually had that match on stream, so that's good. The whole world did not see it happen. But anyway, we'd love to talk to these two young stars more, except I know that they want to get to sleep. Somebody in the chat asked Antek if you like pierogi, but you have to, right? I like pierogi, but anyway.
I like to. We all like it.
Anyway, we will save that for another time because I'm sure Antek will be back on ChessKid. I want to wish both kids congratulations one more time. I want to wish them good night. Bodhana, good luck in Budapest. Antek, good luck in your chess career. We'll see you online soon. We're going to go to one more short break, and then we're going to have the stars come back, and Keddy's going to ask them a few questions. So don't go anywhere. Congratulations to the kids. Good night, and come back and see everybody else. Come back and see us. The kids, though, you can leave the call. Be back very shortly.
Okay, so thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
Welcome back, everybody. Kids versus Stars episode 2 was over. Kids won again. Stars got closer. We definitely want to hear from them. And yeah, I want to say before Katie starts asking some questions, like, you are heroes for stepping up, because there's not much to be gained by playing these kids. Somehow me and Katie have ducked our way out of these matches just to commentate. I just want to say that up front. And now, Katie, maybe you can ask some real questions.
Yeah, that's true, Mike. We're just hiding as a commentators to avoid the matches. Well, you guys, you played so well. We had so much joy to see the games. Congratulations. It was like really, really close match. I have questions to both of you. First, I'll start with Nemo, because you played the previous one. You knew where you were coming. But you still made decision to come and play again. Tell us, how was your experience, first one and the second one, if you can compare, and if it was fun for you this time.
Honestly, it's always super fun playing these. I always enjoy being part of Chess.com and ChessKid events. They're always really well organized. So thank you very much, Mike, for inviting me back. I feel like this time around, obviously I heard a little bit about Bodhana, and then Antek was also, like, both of them are so good. And it's always interesting playing against kids when, like, Anna and I, like, funnily enough, Anna and I are basically exactly the same age to the day. Like, she is 1 day older than I am. So we've been playing chess like together since forever. I remember seeing Anna at like 2010 Greece or whatever it was. Like, so anyways, like, we've been in their shoes, and I'm not saying that like we're no longer in their shoes, but I've kind of taken the step back from playing chess like seriously and all that stuff, and focusing more on poker. So like, it's always interesting seeing all these kids being like, wow, I like back in my day. But anyways, it's always a pleasure playing against them. It's really fun being like seeing, I guess, young talent, because they keep getting younger and younger.
Yeah, actually we did some research, and back in 2016, when you guys were really having good time in chess career, like the peak of the rating, Bodhana was only 1 year old at the time.
Oh my God.
I feel about that. I remember 2016. Like 2016, I still remember that. Like, oh, that's so crazy. She was 1 in 2016.
Yes, because she was born in 2015. So yeah, barely she was 1 year old.
Wow.
And now, she was indeed very interesting opponent, I suppose, from the games. Anna-Maja, you just joined this tournament as a last minute, right? Tell us what was your decision, how fast you made this decision, because it's not easy, as Mike mentioned. And how was your experience today?
Yeah, so it was super last minute. I was asked yesterday if I wanted to join this tournament, and I thought, I have been playing a lot of classical chess, and I noticed the last 2 days that my online chess is declining like crazy. My blitz, I'm blundering pieces left and right. So when this invite appeared in my inbox, I thought, oh no, I'm not in good shape right now. So I thought, should I really do this? And then I thought, it's just for fun. It's a fun experience. And I thought it is also a nice way to try to take the online chess seriously. So usually when you play Blitz online on stream, you don't take it so seriously. So this time I thought, okay, let's change that a little bit and actually focus a lot more than usual. And yeah, it paid off. I'm really happy about the quality of my games. It was really fun, and it was an awesome experience playing against these kids. I mean, now I have a good chance against them, but maybe in a few years it's over for me.
Yeah, I have some good news, Anna-Maja. Bodhana is the highest rated girl in history, age 10 and under. She's still only 9, higher than Ho Yifan, and she's got 1 more year to pad her rating. So if you just needed a historical context to who you just played, there it is. And I've got one more random piece of trivia to make you feel better, Anna-Maja. During pandemic, we were all bored, and I randomly did some stats one day. You have the most common initials of any world champion. There have been 3 world champions who have the initials AK, and you are an AK. We had Karpov, Kostenyuk, and the hard one, Alexander Khalifman.
Oh, wow.
Just want to throw that out there. There is hope. there is
Yes,
hope.
there's hope for
Wow.
me.
Yes.
Great, great. That is the best motivation I could have for my classical chess.
Back to
That's
Real.
nice.
Real, I don't mean that to sound mean. Nemo, a question from chat from Bowties Live.
love it.
How stressful were the time scrambles, and was there any moment where you thought you had to play faster starting from the opening? Like, did you sense that you had to speed up in the opening?
Honestly, I felt that from the first game. Like I haven't been playing really any chess recently. I've been playing like basketball and stuff, but I got on and I was like, why is this girl so much faster than me? I was in time trouble from the game one until the end of the second match. Like I just never was able to really get my speed up, and I don't really know why. Maybe they're just faster. Usually I'm like pretty fast. I love bullet, I love blitz, but yeah, today they were just way faster. They were just I don't know. Maybe I should have warmed up.
Maybe we should
Have
have
you had
scheduled the
any
match for midnight
preparation?
European time.
Pardon?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the strategy to work up a little bit, like a few days before the match on the time schedule that you have the match. But I wonder if you had any preparation before this match, if you had checked their games and prepared something.
I am very sorry to admit that I did no preparation. No, we showed up and did not deliver. So I apologize, Anna.
It's okay. It's okay. I understand. I mean, I was also thinking maybe it's just better to just go into the match with a fresh mind and just play whatever you're comfortable with.
Honestly, sometimes when like I do preparation and they don't play what I prepare, I get even more frustrated than if I just showed up in the first place. So I'm not convinced that preparation is always necessary. Like that sounds like terrible advice, because guys, please do prepare for your chess matches. But I think I've just experienced that so much where like the opponent just plays like I prepare move 1 e4. And then they just play move 1 d4 the entire match. I'm just like, well, okay, well, this
I had
is really
the same
fun.
thing. Like I did some preparation. I looked at their games in classical chess, and I thought, okay, they play like a lot of different moves on move 1, but okay. And then Bodhana plays the French against me, and I thought, wait, I'm usually the one playing the French, and now she plays, and I got so confused. So
you also got the Rubinstein?
I didn't go for that. I went for advanced.
Okay.
Maybe I would have.
I was like, I don't like that line in the French, and I guess if I look, maybe I would have played something different. But then, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the life.
I have a question to Anna-Maja. You played this beautiful, brilliant game with a lot of sacrifices, and in the end, a checkmate. And we saw you laughing and having so much fun with the chat. Can you tell us if you find it more challenging when you're streaming because you need to pay attention to the other things, or you like to share these joyful moments with your chat?
I like to share the joy with my chat. Yeah, it's so awesome to be able to stream this. It's so much better than just playing it and be on by yourself. And yeah, being able to share these kind of moments is just so much fun. But throughout the matches, I was super focused and barely communicating or just saying anything whatsoever. I felt super intense, so maybe it added a little bit more pressure than usual. But yeah, it was so nice because it was a little bit unexpected. I thought I was messing up a little bit. I accidentally lost my rook, my blundered the exchange. So I thought, oh no, my attack is disappearing. And then all of a sudden it was a forced checkmate on the board. So I was like, oh, I feel really lucky that this was possible.
Yeah,
we
that
had
was
one more
a
question
brilliant game.
Thank you.
Katie.
Go ahead.
The old axiom with kids is go to the end game, right? So I don't necessarily think that either of you did that, but is that ever a thought when you get into a complicated middle game that you should just, I don't know, shut it down, make it boring, these are kids, and go to the end game? Do either of you ever think that way?
I got a lot of end games against Bodhana, not like voluntarily because I don't really like end games, but I did regardless. And I gotta admit, she was very good. So whoever gave you that advice, don't try it against Bodhana. It did not go very well. That's all. That's my 2 cents on the subject.
I did mention this in my very last game because she offered a trade of queens. And I thought, you know what? You have to try at least trade queens against kids. That's the way to go usually. I did get a better position, but I couldn't get much out of it. Then I just went for a draw. But I also remember that earlier in the match, I was not doing well in the end game against Bodhana. She was playing so much better. So I think she's definitely an exception in this case.
Yeah, she's very, very good at end games. But I mean, I guess that's how you're the highest rated girl for under 10 in the history of the world. So, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how you get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Her end game age is maybe higher than 9 years, perhaps like 20 years of end game age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
All
was
right,
nice.
That was awesome. Thanks for joining. And as I said, when we come back in August, maybe we'll schedule the matches for midnight kids time. That way they'll fall asleep halfway through. It's about the only thing I can think of. But yeah, we're going to do these monthly. Remains to be seen who we schedule for August. But once again, the kids win 14.5 to 9.5. Courage and bravery does not pay, but we are happy that the stars stepped up, put themselves out there and played against them. Anna-Maja, good luck in the Olympiad.
Thank you.
Nemo, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'll just say good luck if you play. I don't know. You don't have to say anything.
I will let you know, Mike, about my next tournament.
Okay. No breaking
just
news
so
on
you
the
can.
show. Yeah, I didn't want to put you on the spot. I also want to thank Happy Crocodile, WGM Kedi Satsalashvili, my regular co-commentator now for these matches. This was fun. Thanks to all the ChessKid and Chess.com staff who made this possible. We'll see you again in August for another edition. Crunch Lab Masters starts tomorrow. That's all we've got. Kedi, you get the last word. You can say the official sign-off.
Yeah, I love to commentate with you, Mike, at this event. I love the event, and it's just amazing to see so many things and challenges and fun we can have with kids in chess, and they're so creative. Thanks, Anna-Maja and Nemo, for joining here. We had so much fun, really, with your games. And you guys, thanks a lot in the chat to be our third commentator. And yeah, hopefully we will see each other soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nemo. Thank you, Anna-Maja.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.